So as much as I hate to hear my own voice recorded, I'm thinking these things are getting a bit complicated enough that I'm going to have to do a voiceover of thing to try and explain what's going on. So what we've got here, it's a CubieBoard2, and just doing a thing to say, yep, that's it. Now that's a Windows machine logging in via SSH. Now we get to the real meat of it when we move over to the web browser. And now we quickly type in the URL, which is the CubieBoard thing. It's doing an HTTPS, and we log in. Right, it gives somewhat broken JSON response, but that's okay because we're just using it to get through to the main page, which loads this. This is Notanos, and it's got all of these bits. Now, the main thing that I've been working towards is getting it so you can edit and do things within Notanos. So, I've got the minimal program here, which just opens up a smiley face. Now, if we right-click on it and hit the X for hack, you get the inside of the bundle, and you get the HTML and the bundle.json, which is the thing that describes how to run it as an application. Change the text, save it. Now if we run the copy again, we get another one, and so that is saved to the CubieBoard. So it's saving from the web page into the file system on the Linux machine. Now, one of the things I've been wanting to do with this is make something where people can actually make their own simple programs from absolutely nothing. And this is where this bit comes in. It's a very simple JavaScript with a few functions bound into global scope to give people who are beginning to learn how to program a few tools to do simple things. And hopefully if they're doing it with JavaScript, then they have a relatively easy migration path afterwards. So this here is just a thing to say, read the mouse, draw a circle where the mouse is if the button is pressed, and then we have a run, which we'll call that on a repeated basis, and we save it. It's a file dialog which is created within Notanos itself. The files there are files that are on the Linux file system. Now we run that. If we can find the folder it's in. There we go. It's that tiny paint. And there we go. We've written a paint program in a tiny number of lines of code, and with someone who with just a web browser and a machine to log into can make their own little program just like that. It's another program. If you hit the X, then you get the hack option, which launches the editor, and you get to see it there. You'll notice that they both opened in the same editor, because you have the option with applications to say whether they're single instance applications, and if they are, then rather than opening a new instance, it will send a message to the application that is open to say, open a new file. Now, we're just going to pop down to the tools for looking at web pages and stuff, and we're at the console, and there's the global variable sys, which has the modules, and one of the modules is host action, which has a series of functions for tunneling through WebSockets to the server side, and this one it just did ls-al and output the results to the log, which means you can run pretty much arbitrary programs. That is showing that it is the Linaro box running. So you can launch programs from the browser side through to the Windows side. Now we're going to the SSH thing, and if we do a list of temp, we see there's the web section in socket 663, which is the Unix domain socket, which you can log into to connect to the browser. So we'll export the socket name. If you actually launch a program from the browser side, then the environment variable web session is already passed through to the program. So it works very much like an X program, and you'd open a connection going back through. Now we're going to run a very dumb bash terminal here, where it sends a frame to handle its own output. But it's very dumb in that it just sends the text straight out, no decoding of ANSI or anything, and on the other side it sends character presses back. So you get, it's a terminal that's not very usable, but it's mostly to show that you can launch a program from the Unix side and have its output appear on the browser side. And there we see that's a very dumb bash terminal. Now, if we go back to the SSH thing and Control-C it, it disappears from the Unix side because the process is finished, socket's closed, and it does the cleanup.